And I take the opportunity here, since I'm sitting next to the Honorable Minister, to say we need to analyze the potential relationship between this platform and the Presidential Investors Roundtable, so that that roundtable really becomes about the facts, about implementation, and about constraints. The second thing that I want to suggest to the platform is the partnerships are for results. So we're not making partnerships just to have a big wall with everybody's logo on it. It has to be able to track the impact of the action. Now, we have a whole bunch of tools and platforms, so I leave that to you, but it has to be partnerships for results. If it's about food security where? In Karamoja, in Nzori, in West Nile, let's try to be concrete about it. I really appreciate the talk about transformation, and I think we need to track it. If the platform is really about tracking transformation towards value-based approach to businesses, then can we document the good practices so that everybody knows? And here an appeal, I know the Honorable Minister always talks to us about this, how will we ensure awareness of the good practices? So it means we can't write a beautiful book in English and leave it in our office. It means that we're going to have audiovisual versions. We need to be on the radio. It has to be in local languages, at least 15 of them, so people can really get the good practice. We're not the ones in the farm. So if we're really going to document the good practices on that transformation, that will be important. I firmly believe that this platform should have local dialogues on the change. This cannot be Kampala-based. We all have presences in the region, so we can work with the Office of the Prime Minister on how to do this. But it should even be a calendar that you know every year. In March, we're in Nzori, in June, we're in Karamoja, so that every year you know as a farmer, I just need to make it to the district headquarters and I can be part of the dialogue. And that way you get the private sector who's in the region and does not have the time or the money to make it to where we are here today. The second point is on youth engagement. So let me start off by sharing for those who are not aware of what the youth are doing. We have a couple of websites where we have put their profiles and some of the work they're doing. And I really want to appreciate the youth because we only started documenting them in 2019. And we started with a group of 9, they're now more than 45. And for you to be part of the coalition, you have to have your own initiative and it has to have survived its first birthday. So, going to ugandayouthsolutions.com, you will see all the youth who are part of the coalition and those who are still trying to be part of the coalition who are sharing their solutions. So, ugandayouthsolutions.com. If you go to our website, uganda.un.org, then you will see all the joint activities they're doing with us and with the National Peace Secretariat. So coming to how can we reinforce the youth engagement? Not coming from the basis that they're not doing anything because they're doing a lot, but how to improve the quality of what they're doing and how to help them to scale up. So first is creating bridges and protections for those in the informal sector. And here in response to the Bankers Association and some of the people talking, as the UN, we established with the UN, between the UN and Stanbic Bank, something called the Economic Financing Facility. And we created that in order to de-risk access to micro and small enterprises led by youth and women, because otherwise they would never make it to the market. So we do financial literacy, we give a lower interest rate, and we help you to graduate as a SACCO. So you have to be in a SACCO on a village saving group, so we create credit for them as a group together. So this is what we launched recently, and we are focusing on what? In the sector, agriculture. So we also have another de-risking facility that we're working on with Equity Bank that will come online. I encourage the Bankers Association to look at these initiatives and see how we can standardize some of this. Because if Stanbic, as a commercial bank, was able to find a way to bring down its interest rate, because the UN helped to de-risk the people that we're working with at the community level, there's some space there for the rest of the banking sector that can be adopted and followed. We also are trying to leverage the public-private partnerships to scale up the micro and small enterprises. I was happy to hear there's a mapping going on. I think we need to do more about that and look at it. But then also somebody made reference to technology, and I think we really underestimate the impact of incorporating technology into our value chains as a way of job creation, exchanging knowledge, and protecting organizations and services provided by the youth. There is so much out there, but if you're a young person, you're trying to find out where do you go, how do you get that knowledge? So here I'm looking at the co-conveners, and maybe we need to figure out where do we put that knowledge for the youth. You're a young person, you're starting, where do you go to get information on how to scale up, what technologies to use, what information centers to access to be able to protect yourself and grow. To the youth, failing is okay. Most of the people who are successful have failed. Otherwise, they're not really successful. And I mentioned this to the youth group which I mentored. I lost everything 3 times from here. You know, you fall, dust up, and get back up again. But as I've also been trying to tell the youth that I mentor, learn to work and coexist as a value chain. Not everybody needs to be able to know how to cook, and the other one, everybody how to paint. No, use your different strengths together. And when one of you is doing something, everybody else support it. It's amazing how much you will learn. So to the other youth who are listening to us out there, form your own coalition. You can do it in the neighborhood. One of you is a carpenter, the other one is a plumber, the other one is a taxi driver. What can you do if you come together? Really, by coming a coalition, you'll be able to do that. The third point, which is my last one, which I wanted to share, and I'm going to ask my team to share with you a paper I recently presented on the options for financing development in Uganda. Now, Uganda has a lot of potential, but it also has a lot of challenges. So some of the new ways of financing development that are out there, somebody mentioned blended financing, public-private partnerships. We did not mention sovereign eurobonds. Last year, 21 African countries were able to mobilize $118.5 billion US. 2 of them were our neighbors. People didn't mention philanthropy. Are you aware that the top 5 high net Africans are worth $42 billion US? Have we ever looked at them and thought of them strategically? We made references to remittances. Yes, Ugandans now send, I believe it's 1.4 billion US back, 3.5% of the GDP. Where's the strategy? Where is it? How do we protect them? How do we nurture them? How do we help them to save so that this pathway is recognized? And then last but not least, something that's very famous, foreign direct investment. Meanwhile, the interest rates at which we benefit from this are very high. And you know why? Because we do not report on the governance issues. So right now, as we're sitting here, Uganda is 116 out of 190 in the ease of doing business of the World Bank. So until we fix that, and we can fix it with some of the solutions we've heard here, then the ability of anyone from the private sector in Uganda to benefit from these ranges will remain reduced. So I end with a vote of thanks, conveying my excitement. Honorable Kulu, you remember 2019, we started talking about this. We have gone, we've seen a fellow African country do this. It is transformative, it works. Ghana started its transformation by creating a platform like this in 2019. And now you see where they are and who is coming their way. So we can change the landscape in this country. We can make sure that people come along. We can educate the masses so they feel as part of their own development. And we can do so without destroying either the environment or losing our values in the process. So thank you very much for being here, and congratulations on this launch.